means give me the output that 5 creates. So go to 5. There's 5. But F is the blue one. So what is the Y value when X is 5?
1.
Yeah, it's just 1, right? Nothing crazy. And what is the Y value for G, the red function, when G is 5?
Um,
-4.
Let's see. 5's right here, isn't it? Or did
It's
I?
hitting it's hitting the positive four, so I'm not sure.
-1.
Yeah, so this one's being mapped to 1. This one's being mapped to -1. So this should be -1. The Y value when X is 5. That's what it's asking for. Okay. Does that make sense? 'Cause we need to understand the basics before we get to the harder stuff.
So when we're asked like f of 5 and it hits like a certain point and we go down where the x is, like
Hmm.
for the y, then that's where we find it where it hits like where the 1 is, and then the same thing with the other one.
Yeah, it just wants, so basic, think of it in terms of functions. The function receives a 5 and it's going to spit out a Y value. What is that Y value? What is the output? This is also the location 5 comma 1. So you can just go to the location like you said and find out what's happening. Well, here is 5 and 1. Here is 5 and -1. But they want the output, this piece. Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense to me.
Okay. So that's the first one. It's question 1. There's not much, it's conceptual. There's not much to write down. Just, well, there's not much to work out, I mean. Okay. There's a lot of ideas there, though. All right, I'm picking number 2. If it's the same thing, I'm going to skip it. Okay. So this notation, I'm going to write this down in a moment. I'm going to give you all well, maybe it'd be easier to give you a formula page. 1 second. When you see that F minus G at 4,
Yes.
they're based, all that means is subtract the functions, see what you get, and then plug in 4. Or plug in 4 into both, get a result, and then subtract them. That's the same thing. So let me send you, this would be good. Yeah, that's perfect. I'm going to throw it in Remind, but also in the chat box. So just save it when you get a chance. Okay. You all able to see it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me put this away. That way I have it for everybody. All right, so just a screenshot, but it has everything we're gonna need. So look at the picture, right? If they write that notation, parentheses f plus g x, that means just add the functions together. That's it. It's nothing crazy, right? Y'all can see number 9, right? Or question 2.
I see it.
Okay. Okay. Well, plug in the 4 into both and then subtract, or just subtract the functions right now. Let's see. Now let's do this on paper. We said this is 6.4. We got the title. Check. Function operations and composition. This is number 2 from the homework. They give us an F, which was something. Negative 4x. They gave us a G. Absolute value of x plus 5. They gave us an H. 1 over x minus 3. I don't think there's a part B, but they tell us to find f minus g at forest. This means, based on the formulas I gave you, subtract the functions at 4. Okay. So f is right there. It's a negative 4, right? Yeah. So plug in the 4, subtract the g. That'll be negative 16 minus 9. So do you see what they're asking you to do when you see this notation?
It just looks like you replace the F with, you replace the F with, I want to say 4, but then it kind of doesn't explain why it's F of 4 minus G, parentheses 4. So I'm little confused.
From what
Okay.
I'm seeing is we plug in the 4 because it says f minus g as the function, and the 4 being the x.
Yeah, so the first thing we need to look at the formula I gave you, right? This means plug in 4 into each one individually and subtract them. That's what this is what this notation means right here. So you take the f of 4, go to f. What does f do? It multiplies by negative 4. So plug in the 4, we get this. What does g do? Well, g is absolute value plus 5. So plug in the 4, and we get this. So we're finding out what these functions do at 4 separately, and then subtracting. That's what they want you to do. And that's
It
what
looks
this notation means.
it looks like you kind. It's like you the way you did it is different from what I would have done. I would have done it somewhat like I put I plug in 4 to both of them, but the way you did it was you separated both, and that's how you got it. and
I mean, I did plug in 4 to both of them, right?
yeah, but I would have just gone like I wish it would have been like that, and then that's how I would have done it. Like I would have just plugged it in without really writing it. I would have put the arrows and then I would have put it down. It's just how I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, you gotta show your steps. I mean, you're saying the exact same thing I did. I'm just showing you the details, right?
Yeah,
So make sure you do write it out, right? Because the answer is not important. The structure is what matters here. Okay. Like I could care less if you added wrong on the way, but if you showed me you understand the concept, then you're good. Okay, so be careful.
yeah.
Does that make sense?
So how'd you get the first equal, like the -4 minus x plus 5, or 4 plus 5? Sorry.
Yeah, so what does G do? Right, G is absolute value of x plus 5. So plug in 4, we get 4 plus 5, which is a 9.
Yeah,
Absolute value of 9, absolute makes anything positive, but it's already positive, so stays a 9, but there's a minus waiting for you. So now -16 minus 9 would be more negative, right?
yeah.
And that's all we did.
Could I screenshot the work?
Yeah, sure.
All right, we'll try to screenshot it. Uh, Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. What was it doing? Oh yeah. So next question, this problem here. Now I'll try to be better about sending the notes faster. I think I forgot over the weekend. I apologize. Okay. This is what we just did. So that's what they wanted. So solve it. There's the answer. I don't really care about the answer. I care about you understanding the process, right? Okay.
Yes.
Next question. Where is it? Yeah, I'm gonna put that thing. I have too many damn windows open. That's what it is. Oh, here we go.
Do we ignore H since it's only asking for F minus G?
Yeah, they didn't ask for H at all, right?
Yeah.
No, they didn't.
No, so
Maybe it's just picking out like specific ones to do.
yeah, they could have had A, B, C, and so you do F, do G, combine these or whatever. They could have, but they didn't.
Okay.
Usually they have like 2, 3 parts, but I don't know. Well, that's the same thing, just a different function. Let's move on. Okay. Unless you have questions, are these okay for me to move on, or I don't want to speak for y'all? There's the 2, 3, and 4 is the same thing. You have questions on 3,
I don't think
4,
so.
or 5? Oh, 5 is what we're gonna a different thing. This is the next topic. Do y'all see what they're asking right on number 3?
Uh, yeah, but it's skipped.
Yeah. Check. Yeah. If y'all change your mind, let me know. We'll come back. I'm
Which
going to
number?
number 5.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Which number was the previous one we did? Like the answer was -25
That was number 2.
for
Number
six
1 was
point.
the graph, and then number 2 was the one we just did.
Okay, thank you.
And 3 and 4 is the same, but might be adding, might be division, might be multiplication.
Okay.
All right. So composition, this is what this means. So let me write you another note here. Or maybe I can find a nice formula page for you.
I feel like we can do this one. It looks different.
This one is different. It's what we're about to do. This is composition. Let me find one real quick. Kind of like this one. This one comes with examples. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Yeah, this one's pretty cool. This one has a real life example, and then it worked out, and then also the little formula. So let me give this to you. Okay. So open up that image I just sent you. So the idea of composition is you're having two functions act on something. On this example that I just sent you, they're saying, well, let's take $10 off first and then follow it up by 20% off. So there's two functions happening or two actions on your X being price in this example. Okay. So let me open it up as well.
Are you sending that to Remind as well?
Yeah, I will soon. Not yet though. Okay. Can y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and share the image in case you're not look in case you couldn't open it. And I can also annotate this. So you have two functions, $10 off, 20% off. Here is the first function, X being your price, minus $10. And then the next function is plug in an X and it gives you 80% of the value, which is the same as 20% off, right? Do you agree?
Yes.
So if I multiply 0.8 on 100, you can see obviously I knocked off 20 bucks. If I put in 100 bucks, again, minus 10, $90. So you got two functions at the same time. So the notation you're going to see in the homework and in the book or in the videos that you should be watching is this right here. Looks like fog. So that little circle, F, little circle means F composed with G. So I'm putting the G inside the F. Oh, and over here, if you switch it, should be the other way around. That's a mistake. Should be GOF here. I don't like that. I'm gonna make a note there later. Okay, so for your notes, I'm hoping that think of it in terms of money and price makes a little sense to you. Note that fog of some x, could be anything, means f of g of x. The f composed with g means f of g of x. If they write it the other way, then you switch it. This means you put the f inside the g. Okay? Does that make sense?
So
Mhm.
could you restate that again? You put the F inside of G and the G inside of F?
Yeah, so f composed with g means you're putting g inside of the f function to create a composite function. G composed with f means you're putting the f inside the g, the reverse. So let's look at our example. It was this one, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and compose it on the next page. And then we will plug in 20. So I'm going to do it in general and then plug it in. So this is number, I don't know what this is. 5, right? No. Yeah, 5. So given f of x equal to, you write these down and I'll switch over. I guess I can switch now. X cubed minus 9x, g being the square root of 5x, and then h being 8x minus 3. Okay. So let's compose h, let's compose h and g. So h composed with g in general. So I'm not going to do the exact question yet. So I'm going to try to show you an example of how to compose them in general. Because if I combine them now, the result can just take the 20 and you'll be done. Instead of doing multiple functions at the same time, make the new one, and then you can just plug in whatever you want. So h of g of x means plug in g into the h. Okay. What is h? H is the square root thing. Oh, I'm sorry. 8x minus 3. There it is. So this would be the same as saying plug in square root of 5x. Okay, so 5x is going to go here. Y'all see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you plugged in the. It looks
Mhm.
like you plugged in 8 on the on that equation. The hog. That's what's hog. Is that like part of the
That
question?
means G going inside the H.
Oh,
So here's G. Put that in this H.
yeah.
So here's the H taking the G function. Here's actually putting it in with the numbers. And there's nothing to do because you can't combine these, so it's pretty much already done. So this
Yeah.
is the result of composing H and G together, forming a new function. So I put them inside each other, or put the G inside the H, made this one. Okay.
Is this the
So
problem from the Alex?
It's about to be.
Okay, because
I'm
I
showing
thought
some
I
extra
saw that
stuff.
the X was 20 in there.
Yeah, so this
yeah.
is any X. So this means that I can just put in 20 here and I'm done.
Does it ask you specifically which to use? Because right now I see that you're using H, and it makes me think of the far right. The H equals X. HX equals 8x minus 3. That's what it makes you think of. But then you also added the square root of 5x.
Yeah, 'cause that's
You
this one. The
yeah
G is square root of 5x, right?
yeah
So that's
you
going inside the H, which is over here.
you plug that in,
Hmm.
and it looks like you put it right in the middle of the H. So that's H, and then
So
Yeah.
this is how I'm understanding it right now. Uh, so H is the main equation. That's how
Yeah,
I'm
H
seeing
is
it.
the outer function.
Yeah, so H is what we plug things into, and then G is what we're plugging in for.
Yeah, so this right here, right? So remember, just make a note here. H is this, right? So this means plug it in here, right? Remember we said whenever you have something in parentheses in a function, that means you just plug it in. Don't ask questions, just plug it in. That's what it means. Don't overthink it. So I plugged it in here. That's where this came from. So
Yep.
that's it. We're done. It's plugged in. I found the general function h of g. So let's go back to the actual question now. I just want to make sure you understand the idea first. Does that make sense to everybody or no? Do you see the notation?
Not really.
it's kind of confusing because like I don't know which one's which because it like kind of like mixes up together. It's just like you're using the middle one and then the right one, but you're not really using the left one. So and the fact that you're combining it, um, it's like I see what I understand like how to do it, but I don't know like how to start.
No, let's look at the question. The question tells you how to start, right? So let's look at it. So what I was doing was finding, where's my notation thing? Finding this.
Yes.
That they asked for that, so I had to use the H. I had to put this in here, right? That's what
So
this
you
means.
so you use the 5x squared and you use the 8x minus 3. Those are the things you're using, right?
Right, because they said H of G. So put the G into the H. Right? If I would have said H of 2 or 0, sorry, you'd have 8 times 0, right?
Yeah.
But I said H of G, so I put the G in here. And that's where I got all this stuff over on the page.
So 8 parentheses square root of 5x and then minus 3.
Right, that's the result. That's this right here.
Okay. I
Once we
think
have that, we can plug in 20.
I think I understand it.
Okay. We're going to do a couple, but that's the big picture. We're putting a function inside of another function, we get a result. Now that function is both at once because it basically became one, right? Like I was saying earlier, if I have a washing machine and a drying machine, make them into one function, then anytime it receives dirty clothes, it's going to spit out clean clothes because it's now one. If I keep them separate, the dirty would go in the wash. The wash would spit out wet, clean clothes. And then you'd put the wet into the dryer, and then the dryer would spit out dry, clean clothes. But if you combine them together, it does it all at once. Does that make sense, what we're doing?
Yeah, it just looks like you're plugging in the G and then the parentheses that's left.
Mm-hmm.
Once you're done, once you're done solving for it, you just put the 20 into the X.
Yeah, I just put the 20 in. So I'm doing it this way. You could technically, there's two ways to do this. Do it the way I'm just doing it now and then put the 20 in. So let's do that first. Okay. So they want to know, what is h of g at 20? Well, I already have the result, so just plug in 20, see what happens. The result would be 77. That's the answer they're asking for. Is there any questions on number 5?
No.
Okay, let's do another one. Well, let me show you the other idea. Maybe it'll help just kind of sink in. It's an alternate method. You could technically do it all at once and say, well, I could put the 5 into the G, get a result, and put that into the H. We could do that. This would be H of the square root of 5 times 5 once you plug it in, right? Okay, this is G of 5. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, so that becomes square root of 25, right? Which is A5.
So you plugged in H, which is 8 square root of 5, and then the 20, because there was a 20 there, minus 3. You multiplied that, then you square rooted that. 8 times 10 minus 3, then you got 80 minus 3, then it became 77. The alternate version is you put 5 instead, but then you kind of
Oh,
like,
sorry, did I put 5?
it looks like you put 5 on the bottom.
Oh, I did that. Sorry about that. Let me fix that. It should still be 20. I don't know where that 5 came from. Should be 5 times 20 here. There we go. So now plug in 10 and you get 8 times 10 minus 3, which is 77. So you could do it all at once, like so. Plug it into the G first, get a result, plug that result, which is 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
Into H, and then get a result. That's 77. It's all the
So,
same.
so it looks shorter, but it's like compressed together where instead you just add you literally just take the center that was given to you, put the 5, the 20 replaces the X, then you get the 100, and then the 10, and then 8 times 10 minus 3, which is part of the formula in the 77.
Yeah, it's the same part here, right?
Yeah.
The reason that this is better is because once you find the general form, I can plug in any number, and I don't have to keep doing I don't have to keep putting it into the first one and then the second one and then results. It's just find.
So you're saying the original is better than the alternative one?
Original is better, but I would like you to understand conceptually what's happening. It's technically going into two functions, or you're combining two into one, and that new one does both jobs at once. It's the same thing, but it's two ideas.
Question: would you put this on a remind as well so I can review over it so I can understand it?
Yeah, I'm gonna send all this to you soon. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm gonna go to the next one. If not, okay. That was 5. Let's look at 6. 6 is the same deal. Would you like to do this one?
Sure.
Okay. Let's do it. So they're given, this is 6.4, number 6. Super hungry all of a sudden. Weird. Okay. Given f equal to x cubed minus 2x, g equal to this, and h equal to that. Let's go ahead and find it in general because eventually that's what they're going to make you do. So we might as well just do it now. And I'm going to write the notation or the formula just so you you remember it. So G composed with F means put the F inside the G. Okay, so let's do it. Write the F down so you don't mess it up. F is right here. I'm inputting it into the G. There's G. So this would be square root of 2 times the G, which is this, right?
Did you write x1 at the beginning?
Oh, it's a parentheses, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's the F inside the G, right, the G. Distribute if possible, or simplify. We get this, right? So there is my G of F. Any questions on the algebra?
It just could you go back to the question again so I can catch up?
The question, oh, sorry, there you go.
All right. Okay.
We're given 3 functions, and they say compose 2 together and plug in a number. That's what we're doing.
So
Here's composition.
you plugged in the f of x into the g of x.
Right.
All right. Whenever you plug in the x, like from f of x, it seems that the x from before disappears. So when you have 2, that 2 goes into the g, right?
If I had 2, what do you mean?
From the g of x, it goes square root of 2x.
Yeah, so the G, what it does is square root and multiply by 2. So This x right here is where the f is gonna go.
Yeah. So you just plug in the f of x into the 2x, right?
Yep. Into that specific x. And then just do your algebra, and now we have the new function.
Would you
This
get
is
4x from?
He
ahead.
multiplied the 2 to separate it.
Yeah, distribute your 2 here.
Okay.
All right. So now the actual question, right? G of f at 3. So just plug in 3 at this point because I already have the general form.
So we only plug in the 3 at the very end because the formula has been simplified.
Yeah, we found the general form of the composition, so now I can plug in anything they require. If they had like part B, C, and D, I could do all of them.
Okay. So just basically when it says a number for the x, just save it for the end unless
Yeah.
they ask specifically.
Yeah, save it for when you have your composition. I think that's the best way to go about it.
Okay.
3 cubed is 27, right?
It looks like you just plugged in 3 from the g of f of x, f of 3, and then you just put it together.
Yes, because G of f is this one.
Yeah,
So-
that's from the question, right?
This
Yes.
is
That's
what they want you to find.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like it's easier just to see all the steps together in a file. For me specifically.
Oh yeah. Okay. I agree. 2 times 27, that's 54, right?
2 times 27?
Yes.
54, yeah.
Minus 12. It's not going to be pretty
42.
hard, is it? Oh well. So it's not a perfect square, which is okay. But they will require you to simplify. Do you remember how to simplify square roots? Assuming we can.
Square root of 42 is when you
Yeah.
split it 7 and 6. 7 doesn't really have anything that multiplies to 7. It's just 7, 1, and then 6 is 2 and 3.
Yeah. If you would have seen a number repeat itself, then that means that the factor contains a square. But it only contains primes that don't repeat.
Yeah.
So we cannot reduce it any further. If we got like a 2 2 somewhere, we could have square root it. We could have pulled a 4 out and square root that. But we
Yeah.
can't. Anyway, that's the answer. Little side note. Reduce square root in case you forgot. Let's do a simple quick example. Do you agree that 12 contains a squared factor? Right? 4 times 3. So you can square root the 4. So this reduces to 2 square root 3. So that's what I mean by reducing square roots. If you have a number that can be factored, check for squared factors. If you break it up down into primes, then you can see if any number repeats. And then you can pull it out like this. Anyway, just in case you forgot. But is there any question on the actual problem, or do you have any questions on the square root stuff?
Can we break down everything in a short summary? Just like one last
Sure.
summary.
So
Or
what
summary.
they're asking you to do is I want you to find g of f of 3. In order to do so, find a composite function, which is this one. Once you have it, plug in 3, do your algebra. Once you get to the end, check if you need to simplify or reduce or anything like that. Since it's a square root, you should always check if it can, your number, check your number inside if it has any squared factors. And this one did not, so we're done.
Okay.
Any other questions on number, I don't even know what this is. Oh, Peter's freezing up. Oops. No, 6. Yeah, 6. Yeah. All right. You guys cool? So number 7 is the same nonsense, just different function. So I'll let you practice yourself. Yeah, it looks like all of them are the same.
It just, I guess that's about it for everything. Wait.
Yeah. Let's
Well,
do,
sir,
11 is different. Sorry, go ahead.
my number 7, I'm not sure if this means the same, the F times G.
No, me,
Is that the
number
same thing,
7.
like the same function?
You're number 7?
Yeah.
Let
Mine's
me,
F times G and then the X and then times 3, which is the X.
yeah, something like this.
Yes. Is that the same? Like, does that
Yeah,
mean?
this little circle. Remember, that's why I kept writing out the formula.
Mm-hmm.
The circle means f of g. So let me show you the
Okay.
paper one more time. Right here, let's check it out. The very beginning said, if you see this notation, right, it means f of g. If you see the other way, it means g of f. So whatever comes second is the one that goes inside. So our first example, we had h circle g, which is h composed with g. So plug in the g, right? And then that right now we just did G composed with F, so plug in the F. So this is not times, it means compose.
Okay, okay, I see. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a good question. Make sure we all understand. That's what we're here for. There's no reason to go home or log off all confused.
Yeah.
So for the simplifying the square root part, where did you get the 7 from? Was that just it's not a multiple of 7, and that's why the 7 is there?
Oh, 6
Because it's
times
almost
7.
there?
Well,
Or
someone
it's
said 6 times 7 is 42. So I broke up 42 into those factors, and then I broke down the 6. Once I broke it down completely, all we see is prime numbers and that do not repeat. So there is no squared factor. If you would have
okay.
seen a 3 and a 3 or a 2 and a 2 or somewhere, anywhere on the branches repeating itself, then yeah, that would give you a clue that there is a squared factor inside 42, but there isn't.
Okay, so then it's just 7 times 6, 42, and then break down the 6, 2 times 3, and then square root of 2 times 3, and then 2 square root of 3.
Like check this one out. Well, I'm selling the camera or not. Like the 12, right? Break the 12, 4, 3, and then the 4 is 2, 2, right? So this repeats. So this is a squared factor. You can also see the 4. So if you would have chosen something else, let's say we broke it up differently to make it more difficult. Let's say we didn't know there was a 4. I chose 4 because I knew, but let's say, oh, I have no idea. There's a factor in there. I'm going to choose 2 and 6 for no reason. And then break down the 6. See how there's 2 2's?
Yes.
So that's telling you that there is a squared factor inside the number in question.
Okay.
So usually what I do, I just get my calculator and put in the number I'm trying to reduce and say, okay, well, there's 12 divided by 4, divided by 9, divided by 16, divided by whatever, keep going. And then see which one goes in, the biggest one that goes in. and this one is going to be 4, right? So if I had the 42, I'd say, okay, well, I don't really want to do this or think about it. I could just say 42, let me try 4. Doesn't work. Let me try 9. Doesn't work. 16. Now, after a while, I'm like, well, this is not going to work. So it doesn't have any squared numbers. So I'd move on. That's another way to do it without the tree if you want to.
Okay, and then the two factors of 2, that's how you get so you multiply those two.
Yeah, so that's what told me that I should use 4 here. Or that since there's 2 2's, you could have said, you know what? 12 is the same as this. So the square root of, when you square root a square, because 2 times 2 is 2 squared, they would cancel, right?
Yes.
So it's all the same
Okay.
thing. We're just saying it in different ways.
All right. I just need a refresher on that. It's been a while.
Yeah, no worries. That's why I mentioned it just in case. Um, just in case. All right, so last question, number 11. So here they're doing composition with graphs. So we have no numbers, we have no function. We don't know what the composite looks like either. We have 2 graphs. So here we're going to have to do it separately. Oh, there it is. So f at -1 plus g at -1. So what is f of -1? F is the blue one. What do y'all think?
If -1 equals y, then like
Would it be 3?
Yes, it'll be 3. Now, what is g at -1?
mm,
You need -2.
Yeah, -2. So what is
I
3 plus
see
the
now.
negative?
So we're finding out where it's starting to either decline or go up on the graph, right?
Yeah, so we're using the visual representation instead of the function outputs because we don't have the function, but you can still find the outputs,
I
which are
would need more clarification because I still don't understand.
yeah. So it was exactly what we did at the very beginning of class, right? The second example, I think, or first. So basically, plug in -1 into the f, plug it into the g, but we don't know what they look like, or we don't know what the functions are, but we know what they look like. So go to the f, the blue one. -1 is right here. So what is the y value? Right. So there's -1 comma 3. So that's where this comes from, right?
Mhm.
G -1 is right there. That's where this comes from, -2. So what is 3 plus a -2?
1.
So it's the same thing you did, I think, the very beginning of this. I think the first 5 questions are basically those, but they give you a function. Now they're giving you a graph, but it's the same.
Okay, so when it says -1, we're just looking at where -1 would be on the x-axis.
Yeah, so that's the input. So what is the function outputting at -1? What is f outputting? What, in other words, what is the y value when x is -1? All those are the
Okay,
same.
So since f of x and g of x both mean y, then we look at the y area and see where it hits when we use the x.
Yeah, these are both y values.
Okay.
That's how you find it?
So the actual point right here, right? That's -1, comma 3, right? This point right there is -1, comma 2.
I just realized it's straight up telling us that the lines are the y because y equals. I've been paying too much attention to the f plus g.
Yeah, there's the G. Purple is or red is G, blue is F. It's the same stuff we did in the last section, same stuff we did at the beginning of this section, but now we're focused on the graph part. Okay. Is there any other questions on this? All right, cool. Well, that's the whole section. It's just to sum it all up, right? And you use the formula at first entry. F plus G, F minus G. Do you know what those mean? And you use a sheet to tell you what they mean if you don't. Then plug in numbers and add or subtract, multiply or divide. And then you do composition. Put a function inside of another function and then plug in a number. The result. That's the second part of this class, or this lecture. Graph, can you do all the same things? Okay, check this one out. Now they're doing composition. Wait, no, that's times. Here's a composition. So f of g at 1. So here we cannot do it all at once. So remember, the fog means this, right? So what is the g at 1 again? Right.
Negative 1.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, there it is. Yeah, -1. Yes. Okay. So that's going to go, so that's the result of this one. That result goes into F. What is F at -1? Right? We just did that, right?
Yeah.
So using the graph, we found the output of the G at 1, and then we got that result into the F, which gave us the final result. So that's the same as composing them together and then plugging in the number, or remember the alternate method at the beginning? This would be the alternate method because we don't have the functions. You have no choice but to do it the other way,
Yeah.
piece by piece.
So what it looks like is the G. So where'd you get G of 1 from, real quick? And then
That's the question right here.
that's right there.
F of G of 1. That means F of G like this. This is the notation. So whenever you see that fog thing, they mean this.
Okay.
And then once you have this, well, that's what we've been doing this whole time, right? So just do the work. Find G of 1. Okay, that was this. And then plug that into the F, and we're done. So the answer would be 3.
All right. So you found -1, and then it hit 3 on the Y.
Right. Don't forget what the notation means, because this section is assuming you're comfortable with the function notation. I think it was the last 2 sections.
Yeah. I see G of 1. I'm wondering where you got that from, sir.
From here.
From there, and then you just use the G of 1 to find -1.
Right. This G of 1 is -1. That's why it's in here now. That's the output, the y value for G. Once you have it, then it goes in the F because we're composing.
I find it interesting. I would like to go back to the graph, look, find the one and the -1. Like,
Good.
I was, if you can show me the visually how you found it.
Okay, so F of G of 1 is the question. So first you got to find G of 1. So here's G. What is the y value at 1
1. Yeah.
for the red one?
All right. And then how did you find 3?
So once you get -1, right, that's going in here. I mean, it was always in there technically. Go to F. -1's right here.
Uh-huh.
What's the y value?
3.
And that's where this comes from.
All right.
So remember, if you can, watch the videos beforehand, and then we'll do it together. It'll make a lot more sense, and you'll be ahead.
You have the videos on Remind, right?
The videos, I'm talking about the videos in Canvas.
Oh,
The ones I send you remind are the ones that we're recording right now.
okay.
So watch the ones in Canvas first before you get to class. That way you have a background and you'll have it'll make a lot more sense. You'll be a lot more successful. We really recommend you do that.
All right. I'll
For
go ahead.
everybody. Everybody.
I'll go ahead and do that after class, sir.
Okay. It'll make more sense because now that you've seen it once and we've done it, you watch it again or watch the other one, that will still work. I prefer the other direction, but that'll still help you.
It's in modules, right?
Yeah, let me show you real quick. You see it? So unit 1. So here are blank notes that you can work out. So in the videos, my friend's working out the problems and and explaining the theory and the ideas. So you can follow along and fill them out here. So if you watch them, here's a video for 5.1, 5.3, 6.1, 6.4. So watch them before class. Even if you don't take notes, just see what's going on, and then when you get to actual class, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay, that's how I built this class. Is watch the theory first, and then I show you how to solve it once you get here. Okay. If you only do one of them, it won't work as well. Okay. Anyway, let me send you the the reviews right here. So finish everything in 6.4. Do the review. Work the whole thing out. Take your test. You have a week and over a week. 9 days.
So the test is due on the 6th or on the 9th?
Do 13.
13th. But
Yeah.
you're giving us Friday to do the review and try to finish all the assignments before doing the test. Is that what I'm understanding or no?
Everything in unit 1 is due on the 13th. But I
Okay.
recommend you start reviewing on the 6th.
Yes. And that day you won't have any class, but by request, would you be like available to answer a question or if we happen to have a question?
Yeah, send me messages and remind, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.
Okay.
Okay.
So those are all the videos, sir?
Yeah, so where it says video, those are the ones that my one of my friends made, and they're really good.